pretend I don't know everything by heart, because I don't. But you've kind of grown a little bit. Do you think you've grown a little bit musically since the previous project? I mean, there's a lot of gap of time between albums. And in putting them together, do you think you've kind of grown musically as well as lyrically?
Yeah, definitely. We were listening to different albums, and new albums came out of bands that we liked, and so naturally, just over the 2 years, we grew a lot in a lot of ways, and so, yeah.
And on this new record that we did, we get to spend more time on it, so it allowed us more freedom to just kind of experiment in the studio and stuff. So a lot of stuff that maybe we weren't able to try on previous albums, we were given more freedom and time by Steve Taylor, who produced the album, to just kind of further pursue these different ideas or different sounds and instruments and stuff like that.
Oh, that's great. That's and I should have known working with Steve Taylor is going to be a little bit different. It's a question I've been dying to ask, and I've missed like 3 opportunities with the Newsboys, but I've been always. I know you guys worked with him. What is it like to work with Steve Taylor? I've been a big fan of his for a long time, and not to take some focus off of the Sixpence right now, but what is it like to work with Steve Taylor? I mean, he's a veteran in Christian music, so.
Yeah, he's very, very kind, number one. In my head, when I think of Steve Taylor, I think of this really kind, caring person, and then musically, it was really cool. It was a cool fit because he liked what we did already and respected that, and just had a really good sense of what we do and how he could help that, and didn't try to change it, but made it better, and just really drove all of us to do our best.
I'm not sure how he worked with the Newsboys or with the other groups he's produced, but with us it seemed a real collaborative kind of a effort. So it seemed like we were working together to create something instead of other situations. I don't know how Steve works in other situations, but I know other producers kind of come in and they say, you're going to do it my way, or this is my sound, let's do it this way. But Steve didn't seem to be like that at all.
So it was like he made you co-producers without the credit on the album.
Well,
yeah, pretty much.
It seems like it seemed like we were all working together on it, but he obviously directed it all and kind of kept it focused and stuff. So it was kind of neat how he's able to do that, but yet still make it collaborative and fun.
Yeah, the fun part is the kind of thing a lot of people think is when they see Steve Taylor, they remember some of the songs that he's done, and just melt down and go. I mean, going way back, some of the things that he's done, and even directing and video-wise, he's always been. I mean, is he going to be? I mean, are you going to be doing a video for anything off of this album?
Yeah, we're going to do a video for "Kiss Me" pretty soon, I think, and Steve's going to direct that, produce that. I don't know which job is which. He's going to have a lot to do with that video, so it should be really neat. I'm excited about doing another video.
Oh, great! Because we'll be looking forward, and hopefully we'll get that to air on our show.
Yeah.
And we've I was just curious about Steve Taylor, so I hope you didn't mind. I was kind of segueing away because he's I've been a big fan of his and some of the work he's done, particularly visually, and I know he's going to be doing some stuff with Squint Entertainment as far as film too, and already he's planning on photography this spring actually on a new film. So that's fantastic. I'm looking forward to that. I don't want to segue too much onto that, but ultimately, though, I guess, this is the question I got down here. Ultimately, when you're on the road or recording, this is kind of like the serious question I just asked the waiting, and then you guys were like listening in on that. When you're on the road, and it's like the same thing I was asking them, and you're looking to, obviously, I mean, there's fun things you do and stuff, but you also, it can get tedious. And it's been a long time since I guess maybe you've been on the road promoting a complete album project. That how do you stay spiritually grounded? I mean, for you, is it different than like what they were saying, or in that kind of respect? I mean, exactly how do you find your spiritual strength as you continue to go on? I mean, it can get, exhausting. And
yeah, it's really hard because we're all married now, and it's very difficult being away from home, and sometimes I can't think of one reason, why to keep doing it, and it's really important for me to remember, and I forget this a lot, that my Christianity and loving God is not always evident in a really strong feeling. Sometimes I just feel dead, and that's okay, and that's why the prayer life needs to be kept up, like seriously hardcore, because when I am praying, when I'm really honestly, doing some serious prayer, and when I pray for Mark, my husband, and the people that I'm so sad about missing, then I feel like that I'm with them. I feel, I know God's watching over them and that they're happy and safe and can pray a hedge of protection around them, and it gives me a better feeling of peace, about being gone, because I get real, nervous being away from them. You just don't know what's going to happen. It's kind of scary, and you've got to let those things go. But yeah, just making sure that you're just as constantly as possible in communion with God, and just talking to Him, and letting Him know exactly how you feel, and being honest with yourself and Him. That's the best way I know how.
Would you say the same?
Yeah, what Lee was saying about it not being such a feeling or whatever. Do you want me to hold this? Okay. Sometimes it's like, well, if I don't feel it, I'm not as close to God as I need to be, and that's not true at all. It's not about feelings. It's about something other than that. I don't, so just kind of keeping that in mind. And to the way the tour has been structured, we're just gone on the weekends. So we're touring through May, but it's only about 4 days a week that we go out. So it's like an extended weekend, basically. And so that's been really good, because since we're all married, it gives us time at home to spend with our wives or husband. And then we come out and we know that, well, it's only 4 days. We'll be back in 4 days. So you can kind of see the end's in sight once you start the 4-day run. So that helps a lot.
Cool. That is good. I know, because I was hearing you talking earlier about Mark, your husband Mark Nash, who used to be with PFR,
Right.
is out on tour with Silage.
Yeah.
And that, you're going to have, some time coming up spending with him. And it's got to be tough on relationships, being apart for even any kind of time.
Yeah, it's mainly just tough on my heart. It just is painful just being away from him. It hasn't gotten to a point, and I know it does in relationships, but it's never been a strain on our marriage ever. It strengthens us being apart. We miss each other a lot more, and that's something to be thankful for. But it hurts, It's not.
Yeah.
It's not a fun thing, but we've got a really happy marriage, so I'm very thankful for that.
It's literally the absence makes the heart grow fonder.
Yeah, it
situation.
really is. And I pray that it always is that way for all of us. I know we've each been blessed with such amazing spouses. They're just all really incredible.
Praise God.
Yeah.
Well, I guess the other thing I was going to ask, then, kind of segues this. We'll get the serious questions out of the way first. Was similar, also, what I asked them, and this is kind of a question I've been wanting to ask everybody, bands and Sarah, if we get the chance, is, as a band, do you see yourself, is this just a career? Is this a ministry? Or, like I'd said before, Rich Mullins had referred to it as his tent making, what he used to support his ministry. Of course, he was quite active in a lot of other things. And many either see it usually as one or the other. This is my career, and it's not necessarily my ministry. I perform music, and there's just the growth of Christian music has brought in a lot of different people, and so, a lot of people have different perspectives, and the perspective on which it is kind of grown. Where do you guys fit? Being in that gap between projects and now back, really kind of thrown back into it, and in a 2-year span, there's just been so many bands and stuff out there. Where do you see yourself fitting in that ministry sense, as well as fitting in with all the growth of Christian music?
Like the waiting said, I think it's something for me personally that I'm constantly just trying to figure out. And I know when I put it all in perspective and look at my life up to this point, it's all been very clear directions. Do this from God. Or I definitely believe that it's been God-led, because there has never been another option, not ever another clear option for me. And I know, especially, there's just signs like meeting my husband. I know that was the perfect thing for me, and friends that we have, and it just feels, everything is so right, even though being away feels wrong a lot of the time. But we've been blessed just incredibly, and so well taken care of. So I know we must be doing something right or something good, and I love the music. This is what I love to do. And this is what I always wanted to do, which is another, God really gave me, the desire of my heart. So I shouldn't complain.
No, I guess
I do
not,
a
yeah.
lot, but I shouldn't.
I guess for me, I've always wanted to be, I always wanted to be a really good musician, so, first and foremost, so that, I pursued that, and I think as a band we all want to be good musicians or good artists at what we do and create, and so I think it gets kind of hazy when you say I'm a Christian musician, because it's like, well, what kind of standards do you apply to a Christian musician that you wouldn't apply to just someone who calls himself a musician? I mean, you would, so I think for it's easier to go, well, I'm a musician, but I'm also a Christian, and I'm a Christian that plays in a band, but I'm not in a Christian band, and it works out, because that way I can go, well, I'm a musician, and I know that if I want to be an excellent musician or an excellent artist, there's certain standards that you can judge what excellent music is or what excellent art is. And then if you say, well, I'm a Christian, well, there's certain standards you can judge yourself on that too. But if you mix the two, it gets kind of hazy, because you go, well, what exactly are you trying to do? Are you trying to promote the gospel? So are you a minister in a traditional sense, or are you a musician? And where do you fit on the spectrum of good or bad?
It kind of comes to, like the waiting we're saying in the interview that we did with them, like with doctors or whatever. It's like in the same thing. It's like, well, I'm a Christian doctor. How does it make you different than another doctor? Mm-hmm. And the whole aspect is that I guess when you get into that kind of thing, you're characterizing. There's nothing wrong with someone pursuing their career. Everyone's got to have a job. I guess the hard part is that when people see music, they always had for so long such, with what secular music is and how popular it is, that, I mean, what they've seen with people who aren't Christians and doing it. So if you don't label yourself separately, they see, oh, well, then you're just like them. Right. And it's not necessarily true, because then it's the same way if you would apply to a doctor or a lawyer. Says, well, he says, then if you're not a Christian lawyer or a Christian doctor, then you're just like all the others. And that's not necessarily true. I mean, because then,
I think we all feel real fortunate that we're able to play in a band that we can express our faith freely, and we're not scared that somebody's going to take offense to it, or that we can be honest in how we present our stuff. And I think that's what, in the 4 years that we've been playing together, it seems like there's more of a goal for honesty in what we present, and not so much we want to sell everybody on this Christian viewpoint kind of thing. And I think just from living our lives out honestly and real and truthfully, I think God can use that as a ministry. And people see your honesty and your realness and your truthfulness, and they go, well, what drives that? Why would you want to be like that? And then that opens a door that you can talk about your faith.
Right.
Yeah.
Just like anybody else in any other career, I mean, would do the same thing in their workplace.
Right.
And it's the same way, with Christian musicians. I think maybe the problem has been is that with music being just like acting or any other high-profile position or politics, they're expecting you being in the light to just be totally, expecting a lot more, And certainly maybe there may be more responsibility, but I don't necessarily think any more than it would be for a doctor or for a lawyer or somebody, just because the spotlight's on you and not necessarily on them. So that's a good perspective. Sorry, I just added my own little 2 cents in there. Well, that's the heavy stuff. All right. I think maybe we'll just, I know you guys want to grab a quick bite to eat, and we probably don't have a whole lot of time anyway, but we want to take as much. Someone's going to buy your album, this new album, all right? And what do you want to say to kind of encourage them you're going to really enjoy this album, to really pick this up? What could you say that would really make them want to buy it? What can they expect? What are they going to get?
I think if you're a fan of Sixpence, you'll like it, because I think it incorporates elements from all of our past albums. And so it just kind of embodies everything that we've been and are striving to be. So I think if you're a fan, then yeah, that's going to be great. If you're not a fan, well, if you enjoy music by Sarah McLachlan or Paula Cole or any of the kind of like Sundays, 10,000 Maniacs, I think if you're kind of into that female vocal, alternative rock, modern rock vein, I think you'll like it, because there's a lot of diverse styles and songs and just textures on the album.
I've had a chance to listen to the music myself, vocally and everything, the whole entire sound. I didn't really get a chance to pay too much attention lyrically. That's not a criticism. I was just saying, I quickly, got a chance to listen to the album, and then really listen to all the tracks. It was one of those scan through things, and I just love the sound. I think the sound was fantastic, and I'm looking forward to the show tonight. So, So I think. I mean, is there anything you wanted to add to what he said?
No, that's pretty much what I was thinking. Just if you're already a fan, you're definitely gonna like it, because it's just more of everything, and it's just, I love it. Yeah, I really do.
Okay, well, that sounds like a great endorsement for you. By the way, for those of you who want to know, the album is self-titled. It's Sixpence None the Richer. A lot of people usually do that with their first album, and you didn't.
Yeah.
You waited, you know, but this is kind of like a new beginning for you.
Yeah, we
Really,
just
it
couldn't
is.
think. We had other ideas for names and nothing, I don't know. We just couldn't really commit to anything, and I don't know who brought up but it just was the best thing.
It almost feels like we're starting over too. So it is almost like a first album, because it's like, here's the first album of the next chapter of our lives together. You know, that's what it feels like to me, at least.
Yeah.
Cool. Great. Well, I think I am out of questions, but are there any parting thoughts you would like to leave to our audience before we go?
Go New York. That's cool.
And have you guys got ties to New York at all? Or?
Yeah, well, kinda. We spent, like, our first show as a band, this is not true, but our first touring venture as a band was in Kerhonkson, New York. Have you heard of Kerhonkson?
I've heard of that.
Good.
Yes.
And I had such a good time. I've got such good memories of that show. And then our manager, our old previous manager, is from Silver Creek, New York, and so we spent a lot of time there. It's a beautiful place.
Oh, yeah.
And we've traveled quite a bit up here. We've gone through Utica and...
You've been to Kingdom Town. I know that before.
Been to Darien Lakes. Yeah. So, yeah, definitely. I love it up here.
Yeah. And we played some shows with 10,000 Maniacs, like, early on.
Mm-hmm.
So, and that was kind of through some cities in New York. So, yeah, it seems like we've got a pretty good following. I think there's a radio station, too, like Buffalo or Rochester, that was, like, playing our stuff back when, like, no one was playing our stuff, and it was, like, a mainstream. It was like a normal radio station. Well, not that Christian radio stations aren't normal.
Well, no, that's okay. I remember one of the first times I heard Steve Taylor was at a college radio station. They were playing. I'm like, I was in the cafeteria, and I'm like, I know this.
It's
you know?
nice to hear.
That's great.
Stuff, yeah.
Yes, it's fantastic.
Yeah.
So it's another great door that God is opening for all musicians. You know, and so I think it's good that secular radio stations are opening up and playing music that used to be just labeled Christian. So it's good.
Right.
Well, other than that, I just want to thank you for taking the time and sharing with us. And we're looking forward to the concert tonight. And you can find their album, River of Life Christian Books, locally. And if not, search around. She can order it for you. She doesn't have it. So, well, you know that. And the address is at the end of the show. We're going to send you back to the show and enjoy these videos. And hopefully sometime in the near future, we'll have a new one from Sixpence that we can play on here. And until then, we'll see you later. God bless.